I'm James Rule. Welcome to the Lonely Leader podcast, where we help existing and aspiring leaders find clarity, build resilience, drive performance, and enhance fulfillment. Hi, I want to talk today a little bit about simple steps that you can put in place to develop a quality culture within your organization. Culture is a word that's thrown about very easily, trips off the tongue, but when you press people to say, well, what is it? They often struggle to articulate it. And for me, it's all about creating a shared set of values and beliefs that shape the behavior of your people. Another great barometer is, how do people operate when the leader isn't present? You don't want the sort of culture where everyone jumps to attention and operates in a different way when the leader walks into the room, but obviously operates completely differently when the leader is no longer present. That's not the sort of culture we're looking for. So how do you go about developing a culture that delivers results and, equally importantly, creates an environment that people want to be a part of? I think that's one of the huge positive spin-offs of a quality culture, is you attract the best people and you also retain the best people. So the leader has to be an architect, a cultural architect, if you will. They have to help create it, but once that vision is established, then it goes without saying, it's very much over to the people to help maintain, develop, and enhance that culture. So what simple steps can a leader put into place to start that building process, to start to create, to be the architect of something they can be truly proud of? Well, step one, you've got to establish clarity. Clarity is something I talk about a lot on the podcast, and it permeates so many aspects of what a leader has to do. And if you are trying to create a set of values, then you have to be able to articulate that. You have to ensure everybody in the organization has a clear understanding of the goals, objectives, and expectations within the business. Step number two, set the standards. Talk is cheap, and a leader has to articulate, has to live the vision that he is talking about, both in terms of words and actions. It's very important to be clear about the standards of behavior that you expect, but also demonstrate them in your daily interactions with the people within your organization. And by doing that, it permeates into step number three. You are a role model. So yes, you can set the standards, but you are demonstrating them. You are the role model of what is expected, what is communicated, and people can see that very easily when they interact with you. Step number four, training and development. It's all well and good articulating a vision and a set of standards, but can everybody get to that level? It's natural for some people to have gaps in their knowledge, their understanding, their skill level, and it's your job as a leader to invest in your people to provide the adequate training and development so that they have the confidence to be able to step forward and contribute to that culture, to meet the standards, to live those standards, and to help role model those to their peers. Step number five, accountability. The best cultures are not just driven by the leader, as I said at the top of this podcast. They're environments where people can hold themselves accountable, they can hold each other accountable, and those standards become modus operandi because everybody is living and breathing them on a daily basis. But there has to be some sort of framework, some sort of simple metrics that people can utilize to deliver that accountability. It might be a simple suite of KPIs. It could be something a little bit looser than that. But fundamentally, the point is, how do people monitor whether they are being accountable, whether they are delivering, whether they are falling short? And every organization is different in terms of how that is manifested. Now, the importance of that individual and team accountability is it helps drive and maintain the standards. However, that doesn't abdicate the leader of any responsibility. Quite the contrary. Step number 6 is about performance review, performance appraisal. So many organizations are still locked in that archaic system of a 6-monthly, and sometimes even worse than that, an annual appraisal. It's ridiculous to think that you can wrap up an entire year's performance in a quick half-hour chat once a year. The best organizations have leaders that embrace a little and often style of appraisal, an ability to keep checking in with people, to assess where they are, to share expertise, insight, and wisdom, to encourage them to take the accountability we talked about in the previous step, to look at where they are succeeding, to perhaps look at where they are falling short, and encourage them to find the solutions and coach them through into implementing those solutions. So there's a huge part to play. If you want to have a shared set of beliefs and values, then you need to stay connected to your people, and you need to be appraising and feeding back on their performance on an almost continual basis. Step number 7 is about continuous improvement. It's really important to encourage your people, to encourage the business to be looking at ways to improve. The leader doesn't have all the answers, and any leader that thinks they do is deluded. You want your team to be finding areas of improvement, areas of innovation, efficiency, productivity improvements from an individual perspective, from a team perspective, from a whole collective business perspective. And so you have to encourage that. You have to seek that out. You have to encourage the staff to go looking for those opportunities. So continuous improvement is a very tangible part of quality culture. And the final step, step number 8, is celebrate the wins. Every human being likes to feel valued. If you want people to bring their best version of themselves to work and really aspire to continually improve, as we've talked about, to hold themselves accountable and those around them accountable, to look for ways to improve their own individual performance, then it all comes back to feeling valued, motivated in their role. And the leader has a crucial role to play there. It's about spotting opportunities to celebrate the wins. That might be a quiet word and a pat on the back, a well done. It might be a handwritten note slipped onto somebody's desk. It might be a text or an email, or it might be a more overt gesture where you celebrate an individual in front of their peers. But that little and often approach to seeking out opportunities to express gratitude to your team is without doubt one of the most impactful ways to create and sustain a quality culture. So I hope you found these tips useful. As ever, I always welcome feedback. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me any insights, thoughts on this particular episode, and indeed any particular insights that you'd like to share about culture, how you've embellished that in your organization, how you've developed it, things that you've seen that have worked well. I'm continually learning myself, so I always love to hear about case studies and best practice and areas that have worked in other organizations. Thank you for your support. Thank you for taking the time to listen and follow this podcast. It's very much appreciated. Thanks for listening to the Lonely Leader podcast. I'd be very grateful if you could share and follow if the content resonates. And if you're looking for additional free resource to support your continued growth and development, then please do check out our social media and website details in the show notes. Remember, quality leadership on the outside must always start within.